p.m. Wednesday the 9th of November, correct? Not the 7th. Welcome to Oakham Town Council. Welcome to all councillors and obviously a member of the public. Mike, is there a reason if you're not sat at the table? Sorry.
I did send an email. Why?
You did. Right. Okay. All right. Yeah, right. Right. Before we move on, what it is, obviously, since the last meeting of the council, I'll do this before apologies. So this is before apologies. This is an extra. Since the last council meeting, we were all aware that a past mayor and councillor Maureen Dodds passed away. And as is customary, I'm going to ask everybody who is willing and or prepared and able to stand, and we will hold 1 minute silence. But during the same silence, we're also going to be remembering another mayor who has recently passed away and show our respect for Tommy Southern, who passed away this week. So it's now 7:01, so we'll minute that the chair will now stand and we will hold 1 moment silence for Maureen Dodds and Tommy Southern. Alderman Tommy Southern. Okay, thank you very much. Everybody like to take their seats. Good evening, Peter.
Apologies.
Oh, yes. We were just standing there for Maureen Dodds and also Alderman Tommy Southern, who passed away this week.
Oh, yeah, 105 it was. Yes, 104, 105.
Okay, so moving on to item 1 on the agenda is the apologies, to receive apologies for absence, and I believe the only apologies we've got are Vince and Howard. So proposed by Stan, seconded by Sally Ann. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Okay, there's nobody else, so that's fine. Declarations of interest. Members are asked to declare if required any disclosable pecuniary interest they may have in respect to items on the agenda and any other interest they may have in respect to items on the agenda, and also please remember to advise the clerk, assistant clerk of any changes as they come along, and obviously don't forget to sign the book as well. So if you want to pass that around to me, please. Anybody got any declarations on the agenda? No? Good. Item 3, Appendix A, is to confirm the minutes of the meeting held on Wednesday, October the 12th, 2016. Are there any observations or comments on that? Martin?
Yes. I, at the last meeting, asked numerous times to be included in the resolution up to £200 to be spent by Councillor Lucas on the Wilderness Garden, whatever it is called these days, feeding garden. And I was told by the chairman, yes, it would be included. I emailed when the draft minutes were sent out, and it hasn't been included. It's important that if the council authorises expenditure, that it should be included in the minutes.
Is this these minutes, is it?
Yeah, it's on the Princess Avenue.
Which minute is it?
Hang on a second, sorry. See it now, but it is there. Royce's recreation ground. We've only agreed in there for cost up to £1,000 for the goalposts and things, but but we didn't include the additional £200. I think that has to be specific if the council is going to go out and buy plants.
Right, okay,
Also,
sorry, are you saying that it says in here provisional cost of £1,000 to be approved for tree work, and you're saying that it should also say £200?
Up to £200 was agreed for, so if I can make a proposal that is...
well, we don't need to vote it, it can be added to the minute and I'll sign it.
Chairman, that £1,000 wasn't to include the goalposts either. Sorry, Martin.
No, it's okay. So that I do have
it's
some other
£500 tree work plus £200 for extra new trees. That 1,000 has got nothing to do with goalposts.
Right, but Martin saying that there's £200 should have been minuted for the
specific purpose of buying plants.
For the wildflower garden.
Yeah, the wildflower garden.
The meadow.
Yes, because if anyone said anything, there's no record to say the council can go out and do it.
Okay, right, okay, yeah.
Also on minute 252, I also notified by email, both myself and Vince Howard declared a non-pecuniary interest. And it's not been minuted, it's just been minuted.
Vince,
sorry, Jasmine also declared, that's what I meant, apologies. So it should be...
Well, it says here, Councillor Vince Howard declared a non-pecuniary interest. Are you saying that you did?
And so did Jasmine, because we both live in Willow Crescent. It's in the register.
Okay, yeah.
And the other comment is that in minute 253/16, there's an inaccurate comment from the clerk that the recharging hasn't occurred. He says there's no duplication, will not reoccur, and the soap was still used, therefore there is no loss to public funds. Now, there has been a loss to public funds, more than that one occasion, because since the contract was agreed, we have paid the contractor to provide the soap. We have gone out and bought the soap, so there has been a loss to public funds, and I'm not happy that it's minuted that there is no loss, and the contractor hopefully will be recharged for all the invoices. But that's all I was going to say.
Okay.
Because they paid twice, the town council, that's what I'm saying.
Anybody else got anything else? Anything to add? Right. Okay, so with those adjustments written onto the document in front of me, I would put that on the front page now. Must be that one there, where it says the front. So, proposed to accept by Stan, seconded by Martin. So this is the minutes proposed by Stan, seconded by Martin. All those in favour? Peter will be abstaining, won't he? There will be 7 in favour, 1 abstention. I'll just sign these. On the 25216, I have just added to include Councillor Martin Brookes and Jasmine Hopkins in the thing blog. And on 25516, I've just added plus £200 for the wildflower meadow. In regard to the toilet thing, the soap, I'll have a separate discussion with Alison and Malcolm about it and look at progressing that so it's redressed. I'm not going to make a note on that. Thank you. Brilliant. Well done.
So, Chairman, Joyce did have said that the figure was wrong on that in a minute, sorry.
Yeah, well,
that just adds up then to £900, although we actually signed for 1,000.
Can you?
We approved 1,000,
Yeah.
so we've got a spare 100.
Okay. What it is, Malcolm, we'll just double check the figures on it.
Yeah.
I think we've more than covered it. So. Right, so minutes for information only to receive report with actions taken. Is there anything on that or not? That one?
Yes, 5 items. One is minute 24560. I've sent a reminder to the contractor who did allegedly did the CCTV system, asking for a reply to my original letter saying, what are you going to do about the defective system? No reply at the stage.
Okay.
Second item is OCC building 24760. I have sent a letter to Setford the solicitors, Carol Lee, and instructed her to act on behalf of the council. As per the minute number 25116. Similarly, the CCTV column of Princess Avenue, security column, I've asked Setford to advise on the draft release.
Yep.
All that with regard to Rockland County Council. 25416, the website. I have written to Well and Creative confirming their appointment to carry on the website. And finally, 25616, the planning matter. Alison has advised the Rutland Planning Authority of the Council's comments. Okay. That's that those be noted.
Brilliant, yeah, they are noted then. Thank you very much, keeping it updated. Item 4 is members' reports to receive, preferably written, but if not, then we'll take verbal reports from members. Members' intended reports can be from the clerk or myself, and I think Jasmine, I know you've got one, so I'll be coming around and taking. Everybody else got two, quick drink and all the rest of it. From the point of view of anybody that has difficulty standing and needs to remain seated, deputations then, yes, thank you.
Firstly, just quickly, the Citizens Advice Rutland AGM I couldn't make because it was on the same night as our last meeting, but I thought it might just be interesting to pass on a few statistics, particularly bearing in mind that this is Rutland in just 1 year. 2,500 people were helped with nearly 14,000 problems. 58% were face-to-face, 40% was by the phone, and 2% was outreach services. The top 4 issues that they dealt with were benefits and tax credits, which was 5,500 queries, a rise of 13% on the year before. Housing and homeless prevention was over 2,000. Debt was almost 1,500 and employment was 93. And locally, for every £1 invested, the financial gains of £3.51 were made for the clients that they helped. And 52 volunteers contributed 8,684 hours, which they estimate to be worth over £156,000 for that year. I mean, there was plenty of other information in there. I've got a copy here if people want to see more. And they finally thanked everybody for their donations over the year for helping it keep going. Victoria Hall, who I was representative for, again, it was a meeting that I couldn't attend, and I would like it set on record that I did send my apologies for that meeting. They don't send a report out first, so I haven't really got anything to pass along. I don't know if it's worth the next representative getting the minutes of the meeting in case there's anything.
Yeah.
But the only thing that could come out, I'm sure you've all noticed the makeover in the foyer. which has been done thanks to a donation of £1,000 from the now defunct Chamber of Trade to be used to enhance the facilities, and there's going to be an official launch of this later this month.
Can I ask a question, Chairman?
Yeah.
Out of those statistics, does it say how many lived in Oakham? Or is that county-wide?
Just what we need.
So that's the whole of Rutland. They could find out if it
I'm
was
sure.
how many,
can.
because they can do the postcodes.
Yeah, I'm sure we can.
Okay.
It would be quite handy to know.
Yeah, I can see it. I think Mike wants to ask a question.
Yeah, when I was the representative on there, the figure was 55% of residents from Oakham used it.
About 50%.
That was the year before. I don't know what it is.
Okay. Right, Joyce, two reports, please. So, sorry, you finished, Jasmine, you finished? Yes, yeah. You make that.
Mark, if you can read my writing, it's written down.
You'd like to. You'd like to.
Right, Paul Ford. I just want to add something about Paul Ford because a lot of people will not know of Paul Ford. He's a very well-known tree surgeon, very well respected, knows every tree that belongs to Oakham Town Council, and I have great respect for Paul Ford. Okay?
Okay.
He's a very experienced man. The tree nearest the gym, I was going to try and save. Now, I'm always on the side of the tree because the tree can't speak. I was trying to save it. Unfortunately, when Paul showed me what was going to happen to that tree, it's imperative. And I say imperative. This is not scaremongering, this is reality. It needs to be felled. And another one put in its place. I've chosen the place where it's got to go. It was burnt some seasons ago by the children. I was hoping to just get the branches off and top it out so it would look a nice shape. But it really has developed a terrible disease in the trunk. Can I explain that needs to be done? I am not taking responsibility if something happens to anybody who is injured. It is very near to the outdoor gym area where the children play. We have asked for 1 metre to be taken off the smallest tree, which is affectionately known as Mr. Dawson's tree, and 2 metres off the tree, adjacent tree. Do you know, I can't read my own writing.
That's right, 2 metres off an adjacent tree, I think.
Yes.
Would be, yeah.
So that's 3 trees that need looking at, dealing with, ASAP. I don't know whether Paul has phoned a price through.
No.
No.
No. Not yet.
It cannot wait any longer. That is that one. I have to say, I went to see some trees in Tolthorpe in September. I have a report here which has come to the council, and it says, I spoke to the man with the chickens. Forget that bit. Please can this work on this problem, on these problem oak trees be actioned ASAP. And I have been asked to go down again on the 8th of December, which I am not going to do, to have a look at these trees with the tree surgeon. That was in September. We're now talking December. So really and truly, we have got to do something about these trees.
I believe the work on Tolthorpe has been authorised, but it's a case of Paul Ford couldn't do it until that time.
I've been invited, Chairman, on the 8th of December to go down with Paul Ford. He doesn't know which trees. to have a discussion with Mr. whatever the gentleman's name is, and I am not going down for a second time. Out of the corner of my eye, there's a councillor here who wants to say something. Don't know whether he wants to.
On the tree things and reports, I was wondering if it's possible with the tree warden and the office that we actually get some new reports, because some of the reports, which I think one went missing, are probably a bit out of date, and we do have a serious problem because we've had 2 branches in the last month fall down in Cat's Close. I am concerned that it looks like we're not really being that attentive for people's safety. We need to look at it as a whole overall picture, I think, and because I'm not an expert, Joyce is the expert, but when I see things and I've heard things, a branch falling off a tree generally means it's disease. And I don't know if that's true, but I think we need to seriously look at all the trees that we're responsible for before somebody, someone was driving down Cat's Close when that big branch fell down. We could have had a fatality. It's just luck that no one's been hit so far by these branches.
Exactly. So, can I ask a question?
You can do, yeah.
Whether I can answer it.
The tree, one particular tree in Royce's, the one near the gym, would you consider that, is that really dangerous? Because you emphasise that it's dangerous. Because if it is, and if branches are likely to come down, I feel that it's something that needs to be attended to as soon as possible. Because we are liable, and there are children that play in that area. And if that is the case, I think this needs to be done as soon as possible.
I agree.
Can I come back on that, Chairman?
Well, you can do, but we are now sort of breaching our regulations, but carry on.
Right, the tree, all 4 has quoted £150 to take down that tree and grind out the roots.
I thought it was 500.
No, that tree, to fell it,
Right.
is 150 and grind out the root. To take out, to do all 3 trees, he has quoted £600.
Right.
So rather than do 1 tree, although it was only allocated 500, which we have saved £100, that's why I brought it up. Rather than him taking down that tree, which is imperative, let's get all 3 trees done for £600. That's why I brought up the fact that it was £500 sanctioned, plus £200 for new trees, plus £200. Now, to my mind, that comes to what? Right, and we've sanctioned 1,000. Well, it says so.
Okay, Michael.
Can I ask the clerk how much money is left in that budget, please? £100. Left in
£1,000.
Left in the budget.
Left in the budget for what?
I think you mean the overall tree budget.
The overall tree budget.
Oh, yes.
How much is left in the
There's a
budget?
lot.
Well, first of all, what I will say, to keep everybody on track, reports are reports and are not ordinarily debated items. Not ordinarily, we would not authorise questions. And after listening to this, I now understand why. Because what it does, it soon becomes a distraction. The council did agree to have work done on 3 trees in Royce's. I do know this because I would have been made aware by the assistant clerk, and that the additional work to remove the tree and to do the stump grinding was going to take over the budget that the council had agreed. I know that as well. I've already said to Alison that from my point of view that I wasn't aware that this tree was falling over. None of us were aware that this tree was falling over.
Excuse me, I didn't say falling over.
Okay.
It's diseased.
Okay, so there's been no indications to me that this tree is at risk of falling over by anybody because it's not been stated. So what I've suggested to Alison, which is what I'm going to endorse, because we cannot vote or make decisions on a report, it's only what I said to Alison today on the phone, is that the work that has been authorised by the council needs to be carried out, and where this tree now needs to be felled, which is a change from the original plan, that should come to council. And that's what we're going to be doing. We'll do it by council. and it'll be coming through in December. And I think also on the point that you raised, Martin, about that we should have a survey of the trees on the Oakham Town Council estate as a whole, be it on Royce's, be it on Cuts. It's not a decision that can be made from a report. It has to be something where you or the tree warden or another brings a deputation to council saying, I believe this work should be done for these reasons, and justify it. So I hear what everybody's saying, but we need to do it through the structured process of raising agenda items. I know some people don't like that, but that's the way this council works. And that's, no, because in actual fact, our standing orders state that we do not come back to a second issue. So we're moving through from reports now. We've been talking about reports for nearly 10 plus minutes, and they should be taking less than a couple of minutes. That's the process. The 2 trees that have been budgeted will be dealt with. The tree which has been identified as being diseased, and thank you very much for everybody for doing that, needs to be dealt with as a separate entity. Okay? And that's all I'm going to say on that. I'm going to move through it now. Thank you for everybody's members' reports. Are there any more?
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, one more.
Oakham Room
Oh, yes.
meeting I went to on whatever day that night. It was decided to plant a grove of 3 Davidia volucratus in the new arboretum in memory of Councillor Maureen Dodds. The statue at Hudson's Cottage is now in the process of refurbishment and will be erected in, I couldn't read that, in the museum garden at some time. The time capsule has been retrieved from Hudson's Cottage, which was quite interesting really, but I'm not going to go into detail. We have a new, Oakham in Bloom have a new time capsule which is excellent, made out, well, it looks like a casing for a bomb. I'm going to ask Brookes Academy to fill it with up-to-date iPods and whatever.
Okay.
The gardening coordinator reports he has decided on the colours for next year, and he will be forwarding those colours to me so that Oakham Town Council can coordinate. The castle project for the gardeners, the castle project actually is now closed as far as having meetings. Can I make that quite clear? The castle project for the gardeners is on hold at the moment because nobody can agree as to what they're going to do. The memorial garden in the church ground is near completion and will be ready, I am told, by Sunday. The Christmas window displays are going ahead. The member in charge of that has got something like 24 now windows taking part, and it will be by public vote. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. No more reports from anybody. Deputations by the public. If members of the public want to make any comments, deputations or anything on the agenda? Oh, right. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Do class report. Just some notes to scribble down. Don't if they'll hold your notes on this. Just make sure on that. That's right.
Firstly, the Hawks redevelopment. I've had a reply finally from, not from the local county council, but from Larkfield Homes to say that the supplementary agreement has been signed in the past. Has been signed. This is for £62,500. And my question really is, should we ask for a copy?
Well, yes. Yes.
I sent a note to the office of it many months ago.
Right. Okay.
It's Alison has it,
right.
And it lays it out very clearly what it's for, and that's what I've been telling this council for months.
Right. It's not an opportunity to let's carry on with the clerk's report, please.
So I will ask for a copy.
Yeah.
It's a deed.
The Christmas tree has been erected on Monday the 14th of November 2016.
November?
Yeah.
That's right, just that,
November, that's right, you got it right. Yeah.
November,
The tree's being put up on the 14th of November.
November, but in case any councillors wish to inspect the work, it's being done at 2 AM in the morning.
Is this an April?
No, they do it before there's traffic in the town, because these are high.
And finally, Chairman, I need to respond to 2 emails which I've had from Councillor Brookes in connection with 2 matters.
Okay.
One is in connection with the style of my minute writing. Councillor Brookes said in his email, what is the point of sending out the draft minutes for corrections if points raised are going to be ignored? Most, if not of all the errors I pointed out, have been ignored. Why? I assume the clerk and chairman will permit this and other amendments on Wednesday meeting. For example, when a councillor raises concerns about the minutes, those concerns should be minuted. It means nothing to a reader to see if the councillor raised points and the meeting accepted them but made no changes. My style of writing minutes, and I can change it subject to the council's decision, is contained in the local council clerk's guide on page 21, which reads, the minutes are intended to be a formal record of the acts and decisions of the council. They are not intended to be a record of the speeches of councillors. Accordingly, minutes should not normally include details of the reasons for decisions, nor of the discussions which preceded those decisions.
Okay.
That's the guidelines I follow.
Yeah.
If the council wants me to change, I will change.
Can I just say it's because
No,
we've not had any continuity in the
No,
past.
well, we're not, let's move away from the past and move forward.
And the second point, which comes out in another Councillor Brookes memos, which go to all councillors and also some 30 people, concerns questions asked to the prospective candidate for the councillor. Reading the extract, the clerk asks 2 relevant questions of the candidate. One was, have they ever been convicted of a criminal offence? And the other was, have they been bankrupt? Suggesting that if that was the case, we barred them from being a councillor. And Councillor Brookes says that is not true. Councillor Brookes is wrong. From the Paul Clayton Local Council Administration, 10th edition, a person will be disqualified from being or elected as a councillor subject to the following ways. The first way is if they've been paid as an office of the council. The second way, being subject to a bankruptcy restriction order or any similar order or debt relief restriction order, which dates from the judgment or execution and generally ends 1 year after the relevant order is made. So bankruptcy is disqualification.
So, Chairman, it's important to point this out.
If I could speak to you, please.
Yeah.
Point
Point of order, Martin, we don't want to go down the route of challenging things. Let's conclude this.
And the second point is, if he has within 5 years before the election or since his election been convicted in the United Kingdom of a criminal offence. Those are the 2 conditions which disqualify someone from being a councillor. And so Martin Brookes is wrong.
No, Martin, can I just say quickly, there was a Rutland County councillor who was bankrupt, and I would have loved to see him off. The localism at the time overruled that. No, it isn't. That's
right, thank you. Right, thank you. Right, what I will say is that Martin is now talking. Right, what I will say is that since Malcolm has joined us, and since this council has started to how shall we say, move forward, a bit of a breath of fresh air has come forward that when we get, and it's not just Martin that's raised issues where items have been challenged on legal basis or any other things, other people have as well, but Malcolm and I have taken a leaf from his book in some regards, refers to the book, refers to the rule books, and this is a thing now where when people raise issues, we will challenge them back. We will challenge them back fairly, legitimately, politely, right? If it's written in the rule book, and this is what we're guided by, I don't, with all due respect, I don't care what county councillors do, because we all know that the county councillors have a different way of doing things than we do it. And it's not how others do it, it's how we do it. And I applaud Malcolm for standing up and sort of saying,
what edition that is when it's published.
It's the 10th edition. 10th edition.
And also, you said you didn't ask the candidate in the last.
Right, we're going to move on. Martin, if you speak again out of order, I will challenge you through standing orders. I will not tolerate it, you know that.
One final.
Oh,
Sorry, can I just say that I object to both emails, which calls into question my competence as a clerk.
Okay. And I've also been doing this. I will challenge back anybody that picks on individuals or group organisations without reason. So I would expect that anybody that has said anything, and on this occasion, Martin, that you will retract anything where you challenge anybody's competence.
I will get the monitoring officer to show the act which kept that
You do
councillor in their position.
Right, so moving on, now then, I won't do it again, but obviously I did ask the member of the public if they had anything to say and I didn't, so we've now covered 5 and 6, so thank you very much. Thank you very much. Peter.
We had a finance meeting and the clerk was going to remind members about outstanding issues.
Yeah, I'm going to do that later on.
Oh, sorry.
I'll do it now if you like. Sorry, Jen.
No, you can.
Very quickly. The meeting this afternoon with the council started up making preliminary work on the next year's precept for the budget.
Yeah.
And that subcommittee asks that the working groups, if they have any views on what is needed in the budget for next year, would they please communicate them to the Vice Chairman or Speaker, and so that they can consider next week. We have another meeting arranged for next Wednesday.
Is it worth? Are you going to be sending an email to everybody just prompt? Yes, please, if you can. I mean, at the moment, I think it will be Vince is chairman of one, obviously. Michael's on it, obviously. Thank you. Right. Item 6. Right, deputy by the public. I don't think you've not changed your mind. Still what we're saying. So from the public gallery. Item 7 then, working groups and steering group strategy assurance. So this is to receive the written reports of the working groups. We've got 3 on the table. We've got one from the neighbourhood planning steering group, one from the OCC, and one from the cemetery. Is there anything anybody wants to add on those? These are for observations, comments and feedback, aren't they, Michael? I've got an observation actually. It was just this is, you know, where we, there's a column on these, it says resource required, yeah? Is it worth having another column that sort of shows accumulation? So where it mentions X amounts here, there's accumulation just going to be there.
Right,
that's all right. I've just got down there. Right, I'm going to come round the table, see if anyone want to add on these reports. I'll go left to right, so I'll come round to Peter, unless there's nobody else on the left.
I have some experience in the Oakham neighbourhood plan, and I think it's good if we can get involved in preferred sites early on. I'm not quite sure where we are on this, having missed 1 or 2 meetings, but from what I can see of what's happening, and has always happened, the builders, landowners put forward all sorts of sites. We end up with a multiple times, perhaps 10 times what is needed. It'd be nice to see the flavour of what's coming out and to see that the town council are having a good input.
Yeah, that's, we're in line with that, aren't we?
you want me to answer that?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, I'll let you answer that because it's just
The
for everyone's benefit then.
The Oakham and Barleythorpe Neighbourhood Plan Steering Group, with the agreement of this council, they set up the terms of reference for them, is will be developing, is developing a plan that the community wants. It's at this stage would be totally independent of the county council's local plan. But whilst the steering group are mindful of the plan, which is the local plan, which actually is changing at the moment. It is incumbent upon the steering group to ensure that they reflect the desires, aspirations and needs of the community, not of RCC, not of the council, or even of the steering group per se, which is why at the moment most of the effort of the steering group is in engaging and informing people, so that when the first major survey due to go out in March goes out, people will hopefully want to fill it in and return it, and can do so from an informed base. That will form the first draft of the neighbourhood plan. At that point, it would then go to county council, because they need to see it. They need to see how it would fit in, if it does, with the local plan. The RCC at that point, if they wanted to, they could reject it, but it would be RCC, if it came to that, it would be RCC rejecting or agreeing to what people in Oakham have said they want, not what we, the council, the steering group, have said. Does that help answer this?
Yes, can I respond? Yes, I mean, it isn't a criticism, it's just,
No,
I know, I don't think nothing ended up as it should have done, but I mean, I'm a bit of a lone voice in that. But there is a danger with this, that the big builders, the big landowners, have too much sway on it. So all I'm saying is we're the elected members, the elected body. I'd like to see us involved earlier rather than later.
Okay, yeah, let's not be late out of traps, I suppose, is the thing. Okay, any other comments, observations go around? So no, Martin?
Yes. I don't like these reports because they're not giving us the information that people who are asking me questions, like what is going on with the cemetery. They're incorrectly titled, they're just a diary, they're not a report as far as I'm concerned. And you have one or two additions added every meeting, or fortunately we're getting less meetings. There's 9 sheets of paper here which is duplicated. 9 sheets times every councillor to me is pointless. You know, when people come to me, which they do, and they say, what is going on at the cemetery? I can say to them, well, we're having another meeting with 3 people from Rutland County Council. To me, that's not a report. You need to be able to tell the people in the community what is going on. This has been, you know, it's incorrectly titled, and some of these things have been going on for years.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
And I want proper reports. As a councillor, I want to know what's going on, not just a diary which is duplicated every meeting, which is a waste of paper. So I'm just frustrated with the way it's being kept all behind closed doors.
Right, well, it's not just all open, but I think Michael's going to give you a reply.
Can I remind Councillor Brookes that Council resolved to accept the strategic plan? Part of that was for working groups to produce updated action plans for meetings in the format in which this is produced. That was resolved by Council. I'm not sure whether Councillor Brookes held that or not, but that was minuted.
No, we don't need to do that in minutes. I think the important message coming out of this is it's probably not the fact that we have a report in this format. It's probably the work that goes into the report. So if there isn't a report coming out, or if the work is limited, or the report writing is poor, or there's not the right information, so maybe I'll remind everybody by email that the reports need to be.
Yes.
So it's cold now. Are you all right? Oh, no. It is cold. Okay, well, we haven't got long to go. Item 8 is, we will move on, is the co-option, which is Appendix C. Consider the recommendations from the co-option interview. I can hand this over to the report authors, which is Michael and Stan. If you want to read with this before we open it up to the table. Either of you, or both together if you've got it in, I don't know if you can.
Well, we produced a joint report which went out in minutes.
Well, if you say the first line. How do you want to play it? Do you want you want people just to ask questions, or do you need to say anything, or is it all, it's all there, isn't it?
It's sorted.
I mean, basically, we're just to summarise, I'll summarise the recommendation is that a candidate applied is appointed, and there's a co-opted councillor to the Oakham Town Council. So we'll move around the table, see if anyone's got any comments. Do you mind me to over that, Joyce? Bear in mind that we can only speak once.
Chairman, I sat in the public seats and listened to the interviews. I am well satisfied with what the questions were and the answers were. I think he's an excellent candidate.
Any other comments, observations?
Yes, I don't have any problems. It's an embarrassing point saying no with the candidates. I sat at the back. But I do have one concern which the clerk hasn't addressed, and they're not attacks, it's just that I want things done properly in the council. Well, it was put across that I might be attacking his confidence. I don't want to be, and I put it in a couple of emails and been ignored, I don't want to co-opt this gentleman this evening and then the monitoring officer saying that he's only been living and on the register for 350 whatever days when it's supposed to be a minimum of a year.
I think already established that he's been in resident in the town for a year.
But you don't answer me, so I have to bring it back to council. If you answered me, then we wouldn't have this.
The subcommittee asked for clarification from the
I am fed up of
candidate.
the aggressive attitude.
No, but if it was, I'm sorry, Chairman, if my emails were answered, we wouldn't have this situation now.
Right.
He could have emailed me and said,
Okay,
I have contacted the monitoring officer. Yes, the gentleman's been on the
I'm going to ask you to stop now
roll.
because
But can you understand my frustration?
no. Let's so basically just to clarify, the working group or the people that interviewed this gentleman, and just that saw him as well. And this report says that he's a top candidate. We wouldn't be bringing this paper if he hadn't have met the criteria. Okay, so you raised a point. If you never got the reply back, then I can't answer that at the moment. But I'll look into it. So the question is, let's focus on the item in hand. The candidate is appointed as a co-opted councillor to the Oakham Town Council. That is a recommendation. Who would like to propose that? Proposed by Joyce.
I'll second.
Seconded by Martin. All those in favour? It's unanimous. So I'm going to
Congratulations.
Yes, I'm going
He's not a councillor yet, Joyce. He's not a councillor.
I'm sorry, I said
Oh,
Mr. He's not. I didn't call him
once we get inside it, we've got some papers.
Yeah.
What we're going to do is we're going to just stop the meeting for a couple of minutes, so our candidate can become a councillor, if you're happy to do that. We'll get you to sign.
Co-opted to the office of a member of Oakham Town Council, declare that I take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability.
Well done.
Thank you. Richard, thank you. Well done. Congratulations. Welcome to the grab a seat. So just to confirm, the council is in session now still. And just before we move on from that, I'll just mention that there will be an induction process, Richard, to help you understand the complexities of a town council. I have to work on the assumption that you know nothing. And what it is that, more importantly, the deputy, which will be Michael Haley, working with the clerk, will endeavour to ensure that you have a sound grounding and induction.
In that respect, Chairman, I'm going to hand you a copy of the council standing orders.
You can read them before the next agenda.
Right, to read every page of that. I will be asking questions. And there is a copy of the book about councillors' work. Okay, it's borrowed from the council officers' library, so do read it and let us have it back. Okay.
And don't fall asleep on the reading.
I'll do my best.
Right, brilliant. So we're going to go straight on to item 9. this is a reprint, if you like. This is where last month we looked at advertising for a replacement town clerk. And what it is, I've approached the HR Advice and Solutions about getting a job advert prepared and what should go in and what shouldn't, and it became a bit of a slog at the last meeting because there was a distinct difference of opinion that whether we should be having somebody that has got qualifications or not qualifications. So we had a position where the agenda items ended up falling because there was no one way or the other. And what that did do, it gave myself, and in actual I asked Michael to join me in speaking to Chris Moses, who's HR Advice and Solutions. So a lot of this was done on email and telephone, again, because obviously time is precious. But we just wanted to go over some of the issues, some of the prudent issues that have been raised by I think Stan raised some excellent points, and I know that the staffing committee have already made a decision on how it should be. And Michael then raised some valid points on the night. But the upshot of it is that HR Advice Solutions convinced myself still to stick with what we'd originally come up with, and I think almost resold it as this is the way forward. So that's why it's come back more or less exactly as it was before. Nothing has changed, apart from it's now the 9th of November. And that's what it is really. So the option is that we do advertise based on this style of advert for a clerk, and it would be where they do not have to be pre-qualified with SILCA. In other words, they would have to train up to SILCA, but they don't have to have the qualification in place. Was that a fair account here? And it might have seemed like a waste of time. I know it got quite heated. However, when there's doubt between the group, between all of us trying to get a decision, if there is a shadow of a doubt, then I'd rather go back and double check our figures and facts. Okay, and that's so. So to me, I don't apologise that I brought back exactly the same paper. I did double check as well, saying to Chris, I says we did originally make it as an exempt item because we didn't want to muddy the water on any potential applicants. And he actually said, well, it's a sensible precaution. However, you don't really need to do that. So we actually took additional advice. So I know that some people have raised that. So that's the advert. Anybody got any comments, questions, or do they want well, the decisions are the council agrees to the wording as stated. The council reword it now. Council decide where travels are. As soon as we agree tonight, it would be going in the paper as soon as possible. It would be going whichever papers you want to go in. It could go in the
local papers or
we would be using professional databases. And one thing that Chris said, we could punt it through the LRLAC websites, okay, and the society websites as well. So in actual fact, one of the things that came out of it is that we've got more direction on where to go with it. Okay, so we've got a proposal. Martin, you want to second it or say something on it?
No, I was just a bit concerned where we were going to actually advertise it.
Well, we're advertising it locally, certainly. And
if we're intending to get somebody who's, I know there isn't that qualification required, but obviously we want a qualified person in admin and whatever. Are we going to be using the Leicester Mercury or other things? Well, we're only allowed to speak once, so
no,
oh, really, it's stupid rule. But also, what about online, like Indeed, which is the most popular site for jobs?
Right.
That's all I say, but there was one thing which I felt at the time most people agreed on, is that perhaps we shouldn't be advertising the salary because that might detract from, it could be a negotiable figure, and if we do get somebody who's perhaps living in a city who wants a job, who's retiring and wants to move to Rutland, they might be put off by the figure, but they might actually be worth
okay, I'll answer that.
Does that make sense?
When you shut down, I'll answer it. Really,
yes.
So yeah, we will do it in 3 stages, Michael. But just to clarify on the salary thing, the reason that's been left in there is that a lot of these positions at this level within local government and general government is that they have salary bandings. So a lot of these people that would be applying for these style of jobs would know what the salary bandings would be. So in actual fact, that's one of the reasons it's in there. It is a part of the banding process. Right, Michael.
On proposing, the council agreed to the wording as stated. and advertise.
Okay, so the first stage is that we'll come on to where in a second, I think. So council agreed to the wording as stating and advertised, proposed by Michael, seconded by Stan. All those in favour? You're going to abstain. Good. Right, okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for and 1 abstention. So that means that we will be advertising. So was there a second bit you wanted to throw on this? Well, we don't. Right. Yeah, we don't need to reword it. It's in that one. Okay, don't worry about that. Decide where to advertise and allocate an advertising budget. Now, local newspapers, because there might be somebody in the local area that is obviously local people that live local, makes sense. So that'll be Leicester Mercury, Rutland Times, Stamford Mercury, that sort of thing. Now, an advert in the paper costs approximately about £140. So if we put 3 adverts in 3 different papers, we're looking at 3 times that, which is what, £420. Yeah, so that's £560.
Chairman, just a question.
Yes.
Do we need therefore a Mercury and the Times?
Okay, £420. Yes,
just one of those.
Just the Stamford Mercury.
Can I just ask the clerk, would it be beneficial to put it in the Clerk Journal magazine?
No, yes, because that magazine and the local council's association magazine. Yeah.
Do you know if it costs to put it in the local councils association thing?
It does in the association. I'm not familiar with the costs.
So we're going to have to take
It goes nationally.
So we're going to have to take a bit of a guess on that.
Somebody just might be moving into the area.
But the other thing is that the non-cost advertising is with the, shall we say, the 3 associations, Nottinghamshire, Derbyshire and Leicester.
So, right, 3 associations. Right, Martin.
Rotting traders.
Yeah. Martin.
The other site is obviously the job centre site, that's free. And that will get picked up by search engines like Indeed and other people. CV Library is another one. Many of them don't charge, so it'd be something to be looked at.
Okay.
I've just forgotten the other thing I was going to say, sorry. Oh, Rutland Times, no disrespect to them, but as a job seeker, there's no point for Rutland Times because some weeks there is no job.
Right, okay, so what we'll do is we'll summarise, you don't have any local,
Sorry, Chairman, if the new councillor had an agenda, it would be quite handy for them.
Yep, we've got a spare agenda. Sorry, yeah. So, the places we're looking at then to advertise are. Yeah, right, I'll write it down here. Leicester, Mercury, Peterborough Evening Standard, or whatever it's called, the Peterborough.
Well, Melton Journal, if you're going that far out.
Peterborough Evening.
It's only weekly that now, the Peterborough
Telegraph, Peterborough Telegraph. Right, okay. Rutland Mercury, but not the Rutland Times. So we've got the LRLEC websites, the 3 associations.
Website?
Job Centre.
That, yeah, you've got a spare one. Well, there's normally that's fine,
But you know, you regular.
normally spare ones.
Right, so this is what we've got. We've got Leicester Mercury, the Peterborough Telegraph, the Rutland Mercury, the LRLAC website, the 3 associations thing, and the Job Centre.
Melton Journal.
Melton Journal? Right, so we've got written down about the issue more. 800. Right.
How much?
So, right, so the council decide where to advertise. So the proposal is then, Melton Journal, I've written down there.
Well, we've got a debate now, it
Yeah.
might be Melton Times.
Yeah.
Well, all right, the Melton paper.
Yeah.
Sorry, can I just say, when you contact the Peterborough Telegraph, it would be normal to say, what other papers can you put it in for us as a standard fee?
As a free.
Yeah, well, they might even put it in the Rutland Times.
Mountain Paper, Leicester Mercury, Peterborough Telegraph,
That's sort of the headquarters for the
Yeah.
Johnson Press.
Rutland Mercury, the LRLEC website, which is Jake's, Three Associations website, which is what that is, Job Centre.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah? Anybody got any comments, observations or objections to any of those?
Yeah.
And we roughly worked out, because we've got all of our hands out counted up, didn't we? About £800 budget. It might not be that, it might be less, but that's where the newspaper adverts come in.
We've got to advertise.
So, proposal is those £800, proposed by Michael, seconded by Sally Ann. All those in favour? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, and 1 abstention. And obviously, Alison can launch that tomorrow, production. Item 10 is representation on other organisations and to agree on which member should be appointed representative to. This is because of some vacancies that have come up. So we've got, we'll do them each one at a time. So anybody interested in going on to the, how often do the trustees of Victoria Hall meet? Is it like every few months? And what time of the day?
5 o'clock.
Anybody interested in going on the trustees of Victoria Hall? Anybody?
I could do that, I suppose, if it's 5 o'clock, I'm not.
Yeah. This would be a real something. Yeah.
A volunteer is worth having.
Yeah.
Well, you're on.
So propose. So Richard has sort of offered to do it. So Richard's proposed himself. So hold on. No, so Martin will propose Richard Hayes, seconded by Stan.
Yeah.
All those in favour? You can vote for yourself. That's unanimous. The citizens' advice. Nobody wants to go on citizens' advice, do they?
No.
How often? When do they meet? In the evenings or in the day? We know. Oh, you've been on that.
The problem with the citizens' advice is that.
No, I just wanted to know when they meet. I don't want to know what their problems are.
No, not that they're a problem, it's actually, there isn't really a purpose for the person who goes there.
Right, okay.
Because you just sit there.
Yeah, that's what it's about. So does anybody
You're just
interested?
observing.
Yeah,
so
Yes, that's what they're
We'll get observer corps badges for everyone on the
Rather
outside
than
of
the
the
rest
rest.
of the things.
Right, anybody interested in going on citizens' advice?
Oh, sorry. Keep looking.
No, so Joyce, you're not interested. I don't think I've ever been on it. I'm not saying that I want to go on it,
It was always theirs.
yeah.
Position.
Ex officio, wasn't
Because of
it?
the free food once a year.
Oh, it's a free phone?
Sorry.
Okay, in that case, there's,
He's going for it now.
I didn't go to the AGM either, because it was during the day. It's, you know, some of us,
Work.
well,
Yes, we do.
I'll probably go. Anyway, all right, Adam's going to put himself forward.
I'll second.
Thanks. Seconded by Martin. All those in favour? That's unanimous as well. Yeah. Voluntary action group.
Is that voluntary action record?
Yeah.
No, that's what.
Voluntary action group.
Mm.
Voluntary action group, anybody?
No, thank you.
No, once again, that's their do it, do they?
We don't do it because no one.
Do they? Well, I know they do a lot, but does the person that go on there actually, do they meet during the day as well, don't they? Anybody interested in doing voluntary action group? Yeah, Peter. Peter's nominated himself, seconded by Martin. All those in favour? Unanimous? Well done.
Peter's in favour.
Yeah, but proposed it, that's posted. Okay, well done. We can let them know, brilliant, okay. And also, when they let them know that they must advise the representatives when their meetings are, well in advance. Because, you know, we have other lives as well. Item 11 is the, on the 22nd of September, December, is the town's 9 carols and 9 lessons service at the All Saints Church. This is just, are we going to pay for the advert that goes in the paper for them? It's as simple as that.
Can I just say something? to correct something that was another thing on the blog. Right?
Yeah. Is it relevant to this?
Yes, it is.
Right, okay.
I want to give you the people around this table the history of the town's carol concert as it was. And when I was mayor the first time round, whatever that was, I decided
18.
to put it, it was in the castle and always has been in the castle as a concert. 2 days before, they found asbestos and we had to move into the church. We had a carol concert in the church.
Yep.
The second time round, I put it back in the castle because that is for the whole community. It was a concert. Now we've got 9 lessons and carols. Promotes the town as an attractive place to visit and work. Place to visit and stay. I don't quite understand what that means.
Well, it's part of the strategy system.
Yeah. Now, I do have a problem because it's gone now from a carol concert to essentially a church service.
Yeah.
It's not viewed in this town as anything but a church service. So this advert, though it's 9 lessons and at my church, my chapel, I'm sorry, I come from the north. My chapel has 9 lessons and carols, but we don't come here and ask for the community to pay £114 for an advert. So, though I understand that is it in partnership with Rutland County Council? Do those people go?
No, what it is,
No.
Don't get confused by the applicable strategies. The applicable strategies are picked out of our documentation that we're working in partnership with Rutland County Council and other partner groups.
Right.
So the All Saints Church is a other partner group.
Right.
That's what it is.
Now, I do have a problem because, as it said on the blog, the best part of it is getting your mince pies at the end.
Mm.
This actually is a church service, and I am sure when I go to my chapel, they'll say, we, the Oakham Town Council, are paying £140 for an advert. They will be a bit cross that we're not paying for my chapel's 9 lessons and carols. And that is the only reason. It's not that, as it was said, I have fallen out with the vicar or I don't agree with what the vicar says. That is absolutely incorrect.
Okay.
And I personally would like an apology for that. But where I'm coming from is it is not a concert. It doesn't envelop
It doesn't say
the
concert on, it
community.
doesn't say concert on here, it says service.
No, that exactly. It doesn't envelop the whole community. It is a church service. So I'm sorry, but I should be voting against it.
Good.
All I wanted to say, thank you, Chair, all I wanted to say really was that I think that several of these, and I find it quite good, it is a church service.
Yeah.
It's not the time of the year, you don't want things like, children aren't invited, there needs to be children there. There perhaps needs to be a children's choir or something like that, and it's just not there. I personally don't feel that I can vote for it.
Okay. Martin.
Yes, I'll start off and apologise to Joyce, because I probably shouldn't have named you, but if you do look at the archives of the Rutland Times, the whole council fell out over this with the church.
That's not, right, can we stick to, stop. If we don't stick to this, I'm going to get really annoyed, because it's not about who fell out with who, we're not children, it's not a playground.
No, I'm trying
Stick to
to
the item.
explain the situation, is that we had a church service, that's the end of it, because there is a tradition of older members that it was a carol concert. But the church said, no, it's not a concert, we will only support a church service. So my view is that we don't have it. I don't find it a cheerful thing, and it wasn't about the mince pies and the wine was to show actually how the members of the church actually make us feel very, very welcome.
Yes.
So that was why that was said, because they pay for the wine out of their own pockets and the mince pies they make, and that to me is the nicest part. The service is not, and I think we do move on in times, and I would like to see that we don't actually have it. It's simple as that.
We're not here to debate what a church does.
No, I'm not saying, I'm not criticising the church for what they've done, that's their thing, it is a church. If we want a carol concert, then we have a carol concert in the castle or Victoria Hall.
Right, okay.
But I can't support this because...
Okay, Michael.
Could we just go back perhaps a
Oh,
what we're being asked to vote on is, are we prepared to pay for an advert for what now has clearly been established as a church service, whether the church hold it or not, it is not within this paper or our brief. So going back to it, as I said, do we want to pay for an advert for a church service or not?
Yes, that's exactly it. So, and this is where we need to focus on the things in hand. Yes, I know that we've got different religions, we've got people that don't even follow religions around the table. Brilliant, love it. But this is the main town church, like All Saints is the main community church, regardless whether people appreciate that or not. Every year, it's their choice that they choose to have the 9 carols and lesson carol service. That is their choice. And all it is, they haven't actually come to us asking this. Specifically, it is all about, they have costs that they incur, and it's a case of can they save some money by doing something, because they don't charge people to go. And Martin's raised a very good point where they do welcome people that go. Some people only go to church 2 times, well, most people go to church on 2 occasions, when they get married, when they get christened, unfortunately when they die. That's when most people go to church. But when they've got conscious decision, the only other 2 times it goes is usually at things like this and at midnight mass. There's a lot of people that don't go to church all year round that go to midnight mass. So there'll be a lot of people that go to this purely for the fact that it's that one time a year when they feel open, and they go for the carols. They don't go for the lessons. My granddad. They go for the carols. Well, that's humans. So let's focus on the point in hand. Is, do we want to help the community by having an advert paid for by this town council to benefit the community?
Have we always paid this?
We've paid it in the past, but not always. No. It's interesting that when we've done our own town council thing in the castle, then we've obviously paid for that.
Yes.
But we have, when I was chairman before in 2013, I think we paid for it then. I think when Alf did it, the council paid for it then. But historically, no. So they don't come to us every year and ask. In fact, they said, so this is, they're not fussed one way or the other, shall I say.
When they've not come to us, I'm speaking twice now, but when they've not come to us, where have they gone to get the advert?
Well, it will come out of the coffers fund.
Council. Can I propose that we don't? Thank you. For a second.
Right, by decision required to agree to the council will pay for the advert. So Councillor Lucas is proposed that we proposed against.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Sorry,
The proposal is for.
The decision.
No, the proposal is I am against.
Let's go with this. Councillor Lucas has proposed against paying for an advert.
Yes.
Seconded by. You seconded that, Mike? Seconded by Councillor Brookes. All those in favour of not supporting their local church with an advert for the carol service?
You're biased.
Yes.
That is a biased statement.
No, I'm just trying to put it in there. Okay, can all those who want to support that proposal that we do not pay for an advert of £140 for the advertising budget for the carol service?
Yeah.
That's it.
Otherwise we have to pay for all the churches.
Yes, you will.
Yeah.
Because I took one.
All we need is a show of hands who's against it. Right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's false. Are you
I'm abstaining.
you're abstaining? Sorry, Peter, you're abstaining. Oh, in that case, it was 1, 2, 3, 4. It is still 6. So we've got 6 to in support of it not being ahead. We've got 2 abstentions. How can I vote against a negative? Don't 2 negatives make a positive?
No.
Lost me.
Okay. I'm not abstaining, I'm voting against it. Yeah, but we're not. Joy's proposal, we don't.
We do not pay for an advert.
I mean, the rule is you don't propose a direct negative. You simply vote against the proposal.
I'm voting against the proposal.
Well, no,
It amounts to the same thing.
Right, item 12 then. This is just to do with, hopefully everybody's read this. We've been using personal advice and whatever they're called. Personal advice services for the last X amount of months. We've been given some advice. They guided us on the advert. Everybody read it. Anybody got comments and observations they want to make on this? I'll go left to right. Michael.
Yeah, I think we should. I think it is incredibly good value. The amount of what we get from this company, the amount of time they devote to it, £100 a month is ridiculously cheap. I wouldn't share that with them. I fully support we can carry on with this.
Can I second that? Is that a proposal? Sorry.
Well, he's supporting it, but there's other people want to speak on it. Yes.
I agree with everything that Michael said. It's a professional organisation, and we do benefit from it tremendously. And I will vote that we continue.
Right. Do you want to make any comments?
Yeah, well, ditto.
You're right.
I think in the current environment, when we're looking for a new qualified clerk, qualified in inverted commas, we probably do.
Good point. Somebody raised a question about whether this person would help us with the recruitment and selection phase, and he said he would. Okay, Mike, you want to say something?
I was wondering if it comes to a point, because obviously we weren't sure how this company was going to, in the way it came to us originally, work out, but it seems to be doing very well. I would like the staffing committee to look at it, that it's expanded so that there is some impartiality or independence, so that they became more involved as the personnel department of the council, so that if the staff had issues, they could go to them rather than councillors that could change, like whatever. So I'm very happy to support this, but I'm wondering if we should be looking at it as a permanent thing rather than bringing it back.
They don't do that. They don't do that. They don't do a permanent thing.
Or they could advise us on.
Yeah, they sign up to a contract for X amount of period of time. We're not going to
so
say
we have to renew it.
We have to renew it.
I would say
it's a subcontract.
But it wouldn't go indefinite. But I was thinking maybe a yearly review.
Well, I think, even for before we were doing it in 3 months chunks, and we've gone up to 6 months this time, because one of the things is that, because we found also that when we had originally signed it up, that in actual fact we probably didn't use it for a couple of months. So there is an element. If we sign up for 6 months, we must make sure we take full advantage of it. And the reason for this 6 months is it covers over this recruitment process. So anyway, somebody wanted to propose that we retain, proposed by Stan, proposed by Michael, seconded by Stan. All those in favour? Yes, no, and you probably don't know that. This will get filled in. That's what I'll give you a brief. Proposed by Michael, seconded by Stan. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for 1 abstention. Statement of accounts, isn't it? Yeah, statement of accounts. I've got, yeah? Okay, right. Any comments or observations on the statement of accounts? No? Looking for somebody to, I suppose, to accept them. Unless, proposed, accepted by Michael, seconded by Stan. All those in favour? 7 for. Abstention. Yeah, are you abstaining, Martin? Yeah, there's 2 abstentions. That's through. Item 14. This is the intention to present a corporate deputation to RCC if the council feels it needs to. This is over the thing at the library where they're looking at doing this extension. Our town council planning have already turned it down. Yeah.
We have.
And the Rutland County Council planning have already turned it down.
7 to 4.
Yes, so quite strong, but it's coming back to Rutland County Council. I am aware, and I'm not going to get into discussions about that because it's not part of our thing, but I'm aware that several people are making personal or private deputations. Does the town council feels that it needs to make its own deputation as a corporate body regarding the library extension? And I'll take it round and say, it doesn't go, don't forget you're going to talk once, so make it count. So,
I feel very strongly about this.
okay.
Because I feel that, okay, maybe our planning doesn't count in the eyes of RCC. However,
Okay.
it counts in my eyes.
Yes.
We looked at it very, very carefully. And also, the planning plan, whatever it's called in Rutland County Council, they turned it down. And I feel very strongly that the powers at the top of Rutland County Council have taken it upon themselves to bring it back to full council. I think it is appalling. And I think that we should, as a corporate body, have a deputation.
Okay. But just
Can I just finish?
Yeah.
I think it's important that we do that so that the public who we represent can see where we come from.
Okay. Okay, so Joyce.
I'm not taking part in this because I'm doing a personal deputation, but there is a mistake on it. We agreed on wording of up to 5 minutes. It's only 3. It's only 3 minutes on a deputation.
Well, that one's
It's
just take a say, we
5
don't agree with that.
it's 5 on a question,
Okay. Right, okay.
which is not a planning application, a question.
Good.
Okay, so
Thank you
it's
for
only
that.
3 minutes.
Peter.
2 points. If Joyce is speaking privately and no one else wants to do it,
No.
Sorry?
If you're going to say I'm going to represent the town council.
Right, okay.
No, I'm not doing it.
On the point, I think we've got to understand that Rutland County Council have got a process here. Development control, make a decision. The call-in that has taken place is legitimate.
Yeah.
It is allowed, and I think that there is a danger in the paper and comments that it's out of order. The only way it's out of order is, I think, as Councillor Lucas has intimated elsewhere, is that politics start to rear their heads, and that is totally wrong in planning, and that is perhaps why this shouldn't happen, but it is legitimate, it is part of
Oh
the
yes, yeah,
process.
we've called stuff back here before, we debated stuff, so it's, there's
Can I
nothing.
just ask the council next to me a question?
No, understanding orders, you can't, no.
At the end.
Councillor Lucas,
At the end.
understanding orders, you can't, no. In theory, you could through the chair.
Through the chair.
Go on.
At the end of that meeting, and I wasn't there, but it was said, there is no course of appeal.
Right.
Now, does that mean that was incorrect to refer it up to council, or what's the reason?
Well, let's focus on that. Yeah. Oh, right. It's an interesting question, but let's focus on our paper, please.
Oh, right.
Because they are following their due process. That's all above board, so let's focus on that. Let's stick to ours.
Anybody willing
I haven't
to
finished
do it?
yet.
All right.
I'm not sure how we're going to handle this, because we have to get a notification apparently by 12 o'clock tomorrow.
Yeah. Yes,
That's
we do.
what I was told.
Oh, notification of deputation.
Yes, they will say they want it in writing, but the law says we don't have to present it. They try to, but it's only questions you have to present in advance. Now, I spoke to Vince in the street on the way here. He's not going to be able to be available on Monday.
Oh, won't be him then.
And I feel that it's appropriate that a ward councillor actually speaks, and I'm willing to do that if the council prepares something. I think we've left it a bit almost late in the day, but I think we should. We are getting, as Stan pointed out, funny quirks about our planning. We are getting more notice taking. Obviously, I was at the meeting, and we were referred to by the councillor from Oakham South East twice, I think. of our objections, so it is noted, and which is an improvement. So if nobody else wants to do it, I'm quite happy. I've done deputations and asked questions. I will be asking some in my private capacity, 2 questions, which I submitted. So to give a deputation won't be a problem either.
Right,
And I've been asked by residents to support them. I may not, it doesn't personally affect me, but I feel that we should support the residents. There are enough residents who are against this, but I'm not sure how we word it on how it's going to be sorted, but I'm very happy to put my name forward to represent the council as Oakham South East.
I suppose the key thing is that
Somebody's got to write it.
that whatever's got to be agreed has got to be agreed tonight, in theory. I will remind everybody again that this town council has already agreed through our planning that we've rejected it. A deputation is normally done where one person represents maybe a body or maybe a corporate organisation. So it could be that loads of members of the public, and I think Joyce has had several people approach her about it. I did ask the assistant clerk and the clerk how many people had rang up the office in the last week and raised any issues or concerns and asked us to take it to the council regarding this, and I believe we've had none. So at the moment, we actually haven't got anybody that's championed or challenged us to deputise a decision that we've already made clear to the Rutland County
I
Council.
know I'm not allowed to speak twice, but can I make a comment about that?
You can do, yeah.
I think one of the reasons is that the public had no idea how we voted. There's been articles in the paper and our name's not been mentioned.
No.
Okay, so right, let's focus on this then. The Oakham Town Council, let's look at the decisions. The Oakham Town Council wishes to make a deputation as a corporate body regarding the library extension. Do we want to do that? That's the first question. So that's the proposal. So does anybody want to propose that?
What do we do?
Yes.
I propose that we do it.
Right, Stan has proposed that OTC wishes to make a deputation. So Martin had his hand up, so it's been seconded by Martin. So all those in favour of making a deputation then? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Sorry, what was the question?
The Oakham Town Council, this is the proposal, that Oakham Town Council wishes to make a deputation as a corporate body regarding the library extension. So we've had proposed by Stan, seconded by Martin, all those in favour. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay.
Can I just say, as Martin says, all we need to do is ring up and say there will be a deputation. We can always withdraw if we don't agree on the wording.
That will look even more professional, won't it?
That's why I was hoping we were going to be looking professional.
All those against, because we're halfway through an item. 1, 2, 2 against. Any abstentions? 2. Right, anyway, so obviously it sounds like we might be making a deputation if we can. We need to agree on the wording.
We need to say the name
And who it's going to be. Now, it says here to choose a speaker to represent the council. Who wants to do? I will point out, Martin, that because of the
I don't know, that was committees and working groups, and I don't think you can stop a councillor speaking for his ward.
You could do it.
representing
He's trying to
council
stop
outside
me.
Brookes.
But I don't know what to say.
Right, okay. Who's going to be the speaker? I want to let the councillors decide who's going to be the speaker. Right, Martin, you want to say something?
I would like to be the speaker because I am an Oakham South East councillor who represents the views of some of those people who are...
Right, Councillor Brookes has proposed himself. I know what you said about on this. Who wants to second Councillor Brookes to be the representative? Sally Ann, seconds that. All those in favour of Councillor Brookes? Obviously, you might have.
No problem with that.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
You want to count them
Can I
again?
just remind the resolution that the council made, and that is contrary to the resolution, so you'd have to revisit that first.
Well, no, because that's outside bodies and committees. It's not representing the public that I represent.
Martin, if you don't, Martin, no.
I'm trying to be very professional.
Stop, right, if you're not quiet, you're going to get thrown out, aren't you?
I get a brick wall saying you can't do this, you can't do that. It's unacceptable.
Right.
You said we're moving on.
I'm not saying that. Well, I can't get moving, can I? Because it won't wrap up. Right. Councillor Brookes.
Explain it to me.
Right. Martin it was stated by the report that came from Brookes County Council that Councillor Brookes couldn't represent this council on working groups, committees and outside bodies.
Oh my goodness.
Right, so now six of you, now we haven't actually got the people that are against it, by the way, or the abstaining, so we're going to complete that, and then I'm going to come to the point that Michael's just raised, okay? Who are the people that are against this proposal, by the way? It's right, obviously Michael and myself, and you're abstaining, aren't you? So there would be 2 against and 1 abstention. Now, Martin's raised a valid point that this council previously, Michael has raised a point that previously that Martin cannot represent the council because this has been a resolution that this council has. It would require a declaration or a deputation or an agenda item now within this, that this council rescinds that in relation to this item.
I'll tell you what, just don't bother and I'll do it as my own individual
deputation.
It's silly because that is not the thing. You cannot stop a councillor doing his job.
Right,
and representing the people and the council down the road is not a committee, it is not a working group. So it's nonsense to say that. But if they overturn that thing, great, because it shouldn't be open-ended that I'm not allowed to do anything for the next 10 years.
When Martin's finished ranting, thank you, Martin.
I know, but it's a sensitive issue. And
whereas I hear what Michael's saying, and I agree with Michael in principle, at the time, deputations wasn't one of the things that was stipulated by. So all I'm saying is that there should stand. All I'm saying is that the only way I can get around this is that the proposal is now made that, well, to a certain extent you've done it, haven't you? Because the 6 of you have decided that he can represent. That means you have almost rescinded that. We're not rescinding the whole thing. I'm going to leave this as it stands. So that means to me, Martin is representing the council as the speaker. That's it.
I voted for it because I didn't think this was a restriction. We said working groups, outside bodies. This is
an inside body.
Yes.
Okay, no, that's fine. We'll leave it as it stands. Now, the only right. So Martin's going to represent the council on this deputation. And you've got it there. You know who it was proposed by Martin, seconded by.
Who's going to write it?
Sally Ann, 6 for, 2 against, 1 abstentions. Right, we need to decide on the wording of how it's going to go tonight. In brief, how should it be worded? Fine? Anybody? The thing is, it has to be in by 12 o'clock tomorrow.
No, just to say that they were making a deputation, and it will be Councillor Brookes that will be doing it on behalf of Oakham Town Council. We don't have to.
Alison's checked. She's been told by Brookes County Council it has to be in the person, their name and address, and what they're going to say on 12 o'clock tomorrow.
No.
Right, point of order.
I can provide a letter from the legal department of Brookes County Council that says you do not have to provide a written deputation. They do it because they want to know and edit it. They've tried to edit my deputations in the past, and it's unacceptable.
What does this council want to do? Joyce, what do you want to do?
Can I just make it absolutely clear?
True.
It's for 3 minutes.
Yeah, we know that.
Right? The deputation can go in saying that Councillor Brookes will be made of whatever.
Oakham Town Council.
Whatever address, how old he is, where was he born, whatever he does.
Yes.
On behalf of Oakham Town Council, tomorrow.
Right.
It has to go in tomorrow. The actual written deputation, I have been told, and I should be taking it in after I've done the 2 minute silence on Friday, it can be given into Natasha Brown, 2 copies before the meeting, which has got to be half an hour before the meeting on the 14th. I'm sorry, that's how it stands.
It's in the constitution.
Yes.
Well, thanks everybody.
But
Right, what is going to, so how is the wording going to be agreed? Sorry.
Well,
Well, I just want to say that if this is going in on behalf of the town council as a corporate body, then we need to agree the wording as a council, surely.
Yes, correct.
We're not going to be able to do that.
I'm not making anything up. Can I suggest that the chairman and the clerk write it up based on what the council decided, and if you speak to Councillor Lucas, she can say
Let's do it
she
by
spoke to
email.
more residents than I have. She would know what the problems are about the parking, the crossings, and
Right, okay, well, we've got a representative, Donald Trump won, by the way, in case
can we not do this by email rather than knee-jerk what we're going to, or what Martin's going to say on our behalf?
No problem, we'll agree the wording, note that we've got Martin's been as the representative and that the wording to follow.
yeah, I'm happy with it.
Can I make a proposal, Chairman? That
Please, Peter.
we delegate to all members to work up the wording by email and get general agreement. I think we
Maybe your members could throw a little piece into the pot
And the clerk,
and then we can shuffle it around.
See, the two members, Vince, I wasn't at that planning meeting. They know what they've said. So they
You
should.
didn't go into the detail with you.
Ah.
Okay.
Right.
Right, anyway, the proposal from Peter is that all members contribute and confirm by email
yes, we delegate to all members.
Thank you, Chris.
Well, if there's only contributions individually.
if everybody sends in their bit, why shouldn't it be there?
It's got to be done by sort of Friday, for you to collate it, ready to be there at 6:30
Is
on
everybody
Monday.
happy sending something in to
Yes.
Malcolm on email? Well, it will be Alison actually. We'll have to go to Alison. So the proposal by Peter is that there is an email collation of words, whatever you want to call it. Okay. And then who will sign it off? Will everybody sign it off? Will everybody agree on it? Or will it be?
The person puts one together and then send it out. Everybody says, yeah.
Basically, it's coming back anyway. So that was proposed by Peter. We're going to finalise this by email, seconded by Sally Ann. All those in favour? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All those against? Oh, I'm against that. All those abstaining?
I'll abstain.
I'm sure it can be, but then I don't want to stand there and have it political.
But it's not, we're not political council, we don't do
No, we're
political
not.
stuff.
No.
That's not a problem, Mark.
Can somebody email me, Mr. Brookes' thing, because I blocked him, I don't want anything.
No, I can't, that's not my problem then.
I'm probably
We have
just
to
going
unlock it
to,
because-
I'll probably just send in saying pointing out parking,
Have you got any pigeons you can use?
conservation area,
Alright, item 15, Oakham Town Partnership
flat roof.
to authorise a payment of £1,000 for the sponsorship fee. No, we've got item 15 still. Item 15 is to authorise a payment of £1,000 for the sponsorship fee, sponsorship of the Oakham Late Night Shopping event. Any comments or, and if anybody needs any background, because they don't seem to have comments. Historically now, the town council has made a sponsorship or a donation to the Oakham Town Partnership towards the late night shopping, which promotes the town. And that's all it is. Do we want to pay that with? Michael?
I can't support that without knowing what the money is for, how it can be spent.
In previous years, we have stipulated that, like, one year we insisted they spend it on buses, and then only 2 people used the bus. And then the year that Alf was in, I believe they stipulated it was spent specifically on street entertainers to make sure that it wasn't just going to go into, don't put it into your coffers, so to speak.
Yeah.
So we could here say, yes, we will give you £1,000, but this money must be used for street entertainment or
When,
a free mince pie.
Chairman, when we, I know we don't now, but when we used to give grants, we used to have a financial report of what they've got and how much and where it's being spent.
This is with Oakham Town Partnership. They've never previously submitted this.
Well, it's about time I knew how much money they've got spending.
Okay. Any other comments or observations as we move around the table? Mark?
I've got it.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to support this because I would like to know what the money is going to be spent on. I understand we could give it and actually say spend it on this. I would have liked to have seen perhaps a band or something being sponsored with the Christmas tree light switch on. But I think this year I can't support this because it's just like previous years where we've just given money and it's public money at the end of the day. And if they can't tell us what we're going to do with it, then that's inappropriate. And I thank the chairman for bringing it this year to council.
Anybody else got any comments or observations? Anybody who want to propose to authorise a payment of £1,000? Anybody want to make that proposal? I'll make that proposal because that's a kind of guy I am. So proposal from the chair is that the town council pays £1,000 for the sponsorship of the Oakham late night shopping to the benefit of the people of Oakham, and that we stipulate the money must be spent on the evening.
Can I
just say something?
No, but I've just added that. So we stipulate that it is used to benefit the people of Oakham. It's spent on the night.
Can I feel that perhaps I should declare an interest because I am a member of the partnership?
Okay, you can't.
I'll write that down now.
So you're a representative or you're a member of the partnership?
I'm a member of the partnership.
I thought you were the town council
I'm a town
representative.
council representative.
So you're not a member of the town partnership?
No,
You're only a representative. You don't benefit financially from being on it.
no, I don't.
It's the non-pecuniary.
It's not pecuniary, that's quite right. I still feel
Right,
that's
okay, that's fine, that's okay, Stan. So Stan's declared, so Stan will be abstaining. 15 Oakham Town Partnership. So anyway, chairman's proposed that we keep £1,000 away and the money must be used on the evening and not stay in their bank, okay? That's the proposal. Does anybody want to second that? No? Good. Okay, any other proposals or anything? Because that basically is going to... Well, the motion falls anyway, so there's no...
Well, just in case.
No, it's
that's
false.
right, we're not authorising it.
No.
So,
There's been no other business, according to the green clock. It's 8:43. The meeting is closed, which is later than 8:43. I believe that 80 people said